There have been numerous discussions about Olivia Rodrigo this past week for various reasons. People like me are waiting for her third album. There was also speculation that the song Father Figure by Taylor Swift was a diss to her, a song that talks about looking up to someone and experiencing betrayal. It's a song that has a lot of power play at hand, and Taylor says it's about experiencing both sides of the coin, being the protege and the mentor. And there's been an even bigger conversation about interpolations, samples, and song similarities due to The Life of a Showgirl featuring many songs that share similarities with other popular songs, such as Actually Romantic and Where's My Mind by the Pixies, Would and I Want You Back by Jackson 5, The Life of a Showgirl and Cool by the Jonas Brothers, Yellow Flicker Beat by Lorde and Cancelled, and I think the similarities between these songs are definitely palatable, some more than others, and the thing is, pop music is formulaic. There will always be some similarities between another song, whether vague or strong. Ideas are recycled and it's bound to happen, especially with the amount of music being released in today's industry. Charlie Puth, who Taylor Swift declared should be a bigger artist, explained this topic perfectly.
Lately, there's been a lot of discussion about when two songs have similar melodies. There's only 12 notes in a scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So when you're writing a new song, there are bound to be similarities to an older song. But what you have is what I like to call the 4-note threshold. Let's say, for example, that these are 4 notes of a song that already exists. And these notes here in blue are the notes to your brand new song. If your brand new blue song has the first 4 notes as the red song, that's fine. But if the old song also has an A, and your song also has an A, you're now getting into interpolation territory.
And I think people should be knowledgeable about how music works, and this information should be spread. However, admittedly, that was not the case for Olivia Rodrigo, who used very common chord progressions in her music and still had to give writing credits over to Paramore and Taylor Swift. These circumstances were leveraged against her and used as a way to discredit her, with people dismissing her as a vapid copycat, saying she has no original ideas, doesn't write her own songs. And I think a fair question to pose is, where was this understanding nature of pop music sharing commonalities when an 18-year-old girl new to the industry got hijacked for her royalties, in my opinion. In fact, I'd say the songs on The Life of a Showgirl have more commonalities with their comparisons than Deja Vu and Cruel Summer. For those of you that don't remember, in July of 2021, fans noticed that Taylor had been retroactively credited on Olivia's hugely popular single Deja Vu. She and her collaborators Jack Antonoff and St. Vincent were added alongside Olivia and songwriter Dan Nigro due to an apparent interpolation of Taylor's song, that song being Cruel Summer. But many listeners struggled to hear the similarities. And then in September, Hayley Williams of Paramore and her bandmate Josh Farro were credited on Good For You, with it being claimed that it is similar to Paramore's Misery Business. Hayley Williams even spoke out about it and simply said, "Our publisher wilding right now," which is a vague statement, but not a statement that's showing excitement or autonomy over the decision. Billboard later revealed that Olivia had given up 50% of the royalties on each of the songs as a result of these retroactive credits. Many expressed their discomfort at the way that up-and-coming new artists had seemingly been targeted by more established stars, and some people came to Olivia's defense. When the teen was accused of copying a guitar riff from one of Elvis Costello's songs in her track Brutal, he tweeted, "This is fine by me, it's how rock and roll works. You take the broken pieces of another thrill and make a brand new toy. That's what I did." Adam Levine said, "Sometimes it's not warranted that people take legal action. I think there's definitely become more of a gray area that's reared its ugly head these days. I do think that we should probably meet this with a little more compassion and understanding, and try to find a way. All this calling out is like music is a creative thing, and just hate to see it crushed." Shortly after, Olivia alluded to the song credit situation as she admitted to Time. "It was really frustrating to see people discredit and deny my creativity." Her producer Dan Nigro then pointedly added to the publication, "It seems like people get funny about things when songs become really popular. I know that in a post-Blurred Lines world, with the Marvin Gaye lawsuit, things have been far more egregious, and no pun intended, it has blurred the lines in song copyrights and led people to be greedy and target younger artists. I certainly do not think Taylor Swift deserved a writing credit for Deja Vu. The songs sound nothing alike, they both have shouting bridges. You can say that you hear Taylor's influence on the song, but they are undeniably two different songs. I think it is a plainly greedy and predatory practice, especially towards younger artists. And I'm not saying that Taylor Swift is directly responsible for this. After all, we don't know the full facts, but we know what's inferred. Taylor Swift has various songs that share similarities with other popular songs even outside Life of a Showgirl, and you could say these songs sound even more similar than Deja Vu and Cruel Summer, and mind you, they sound nothing alike. For example, Shake It Off sounds similar to Tony Basil's Mickey and Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend. Wildest Dreams chorus and Without You by Lana Del Rey are uncanny. Same with Starlight and Don't Trust by 303. State of Grace sounds like U2. Me was involved in a controversy for its identical melody to Next to Me by Emily Sandé, who Taylor actually performed the song with. People also said Cruel Summer sounds like Stylish by Luna. Matthew Perryman Jones and his song Amelia were compared when Taylor released Dear John. My point in listing these is not to say that Taylor Swift is a copycat. The point is everyone borrows or is influenced by someone, and some take inspiration and transform it, some directly take on what they're inspired by, and that leads to sampling or interpolations. And that's fine, and that's how art should be, and that's the cycle of it. Once again, I don't think Olivia should have had to give credits to anyone at all. The song shares so few commonalities. I mean, at best you could say they have similar vibes. They operate within the same niche. And that goes for Misery Business as well. There are a million pop punk songs that sound similar to Misery Business before and after it. Olivia Rodrigo was extremely green, extremely outspoken about her influences in the beginning of her career. And after this incident, she seems to have reeled it in. In a Rolling Stone Artist on Artist interview with Alanis Morissette, Olivia asked the singer, "How did you handle it when your album came out? Did you have any hard times dealing with criticism or the spotlight?" Alanis then said, "All eyes on the fishbowl. There was a lot of bullying and a lot of jealousy, and a lot of people whom I'd adored my whole life being mean girls." And in response, Olivia said, "Same." And I do think people were harsh on her when she was coming up and leveraged these songwriting claims against her. And we can even talk about fandom support. Taylor and Olivia did interact quite a bit when she first came out, and Taylor posted some of her songs. And I've seen some conversations about this relationship where it feels like people think Olivia is indebted to Taylor, but she is not. She paid her respects, and that's all she has to do. Taylor Swift posted her songs when she first came out, and Taylor Swift has posted many people's songs, and still very few have the status and career that Olivia has. I think it's gross that people attribute her success to one person or one situation. You can say it helped, sure, but taking complete credit for someone's career and work, well, we've all seen this film before. And I really do think Olivia has come into her own as an artist. She's introducing these old sounds in a modern and fresh way, and her writing varies from sophisticated to fun and carefree. And that's the thing with these public mentor and mentee scenarios, is that some people start to feel or see you as an extension of these artists and not your own self. The stands will feel like they have autonomy over you and what you do, who you interact with. If your inspiration has beef with this person, you should too. That type of whole ordeal. On another note, Taylor Swift is someone that has openly written about the cyclical life of a pop star and feeling threatened by losing relevancy. And many have speculated that a lot of these songs are about Olivia, or at least nod to someone like her, which is why they keep a distance now. Sabrina Carpenter and Gracie Abrams have filled that Taylor protege gap. But I will say, I don't think those feelings that Taylor wrote about are invalid either. Many times these artists who have put in years of work will be told that they're replaceable or made to feel that way because a new artist comes along. And I know people will complain about comparisons being made, but when you are a new artist, it's inevitable. People want to find out your niche or style, and the easiest way to do that is through comparison. But more than anything, I think it's about how the artists react to it, because the narrative can be owned and flipped. It doesn't have to be a battle or a threat. It can be an embrace and a proud showing of what you have achieved, that these younger artists view you as an inspiration. Obviously, we don't have the ins and outs of what happened between the two, but there's a noticeable difference. This situation actually reminds me of Taylor Swift and Joni Mitchell. During the Red era, Taylor was very obvious with her references to Joni and very loud with them. It was even reported that Taylor was supposed to portray Joni in a biopic. Joni responded by saying, "I've never heard Taylor's music. I've seen her physically. She looks similarly small-hipped and high cheekbones. I can see why they cast her. I don't know what the music sounds like, but I do know this, that if she's going to sing and play me, good luck." And obviously Taylor never made publicly shaded remarks to Olivia like Joni did, but there's a mirroring happening in this situation, where you're loud and proud about your influence, and then a rift happens. So I say this to say, I do think Olivia Rodrigo should be owed grace back then and now. She clearly had no ill intentions. She did not deserve to have to give up her money for her work. Similarities in pop music are standard. You know, there are points where a similarity definitely feels like a ripoff though. And I will say, I do think some songs from The Life of a Showgirl feel like they are directly pulling from other songs. But yeah, Olivia did not deserve to have to give up money for her work. Similarities in pop music are standard, and fuck Robin Thicke for even releasing Blurred Lines and the trickle effect that happened after it, and giving these greedy suits the validation to prey on artists, especially younger upcoming artists.